Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, and I work in Fargo for a nonprofit organization called the International Water Institute. I do a lot of water quality sampling, and I work with 4th and 5th grade students in watershed education programs, and I also work with high school students through our River Watch program. I get to do a lot of outdoor activities, kayaking, and sampling waters, and looking at macroinvertebrates or bugs that live in the rivers with high school kids. So I spend a lot of time outdoors looking at our rivers in the area. Do you have a question?
Do you ever go fishing?
I like to go fishing. I was out fishing this past weekend. So I went to college at the University of Minnesota, Twin Cities, and I moved back to this area. And I'll let my partner.
Yeah, and the person trying to fix the poster but wasn't doing a very good job is Logan, and I'm from North Dakota State University. I'm currently going to college there with a natural resource management major, and I am here to help out and volunteer and teach you guys.
All right, so our station name here is Invaders. If you guys want to, you can go ahead and write that down on the second station. So this term invaders, what does that bring to mind, or what do you think of when you hear invaders? Go ahead. Someone coming into your house that's not supposed to be there. I think that makes sense. Anyone else?
Someone coming into your personal space without asking.
Yeah, I think that's a very good definition, actually. Want to say something? Yeah, maybe we've heard of it through a movie or a cartoon or something where aliens are invading. So we're going to be kind of applying that same concept of your home or the safe place that you guys have being invaded, and kind of applying that to fish or native species of plants. So has anybody ever heard of the term invasive species? Can anyone tell me what an invasive species might represent or what it is?
I thought there were species
Yeah.
like maybe human spiders
Sure.
or human bugs.
Sure. So an invasive species comes from somewhere outside of the area, right? So an invasive species didn't live in the lake or the river or the grassland or the forest or whatever type of ecosystem we have. It didn't live there originally. It came in, whether humans introduced it intentionally, like they tried to bring it in, or whether humans accidentally introduced it. They didn't even know it was with them. Sometimes invasions happen naturally, but we've seen a lot of invasive species come into ecosystems because of human activity, especially over the last 100 or 200 years. So, what do you guys think it means when we apply another word out here, aquatic invasive species? When you can see it? Oh, sea creatures. So kind of like a water creature, right? Yeah, that's all that really means. So when we talk about an aquatic invasive species, we're really just saying an invasive species that came from somewhere else, but it now lives in our local lake or local river. Does anybody have any examples of what an invasive species might be? Or what types of invasive species we have? How about if we start out different? How about any native species we have? What types of fish? So we'll talk more about fish. What do you guys think? What are some native species of fish that we have around here? Yeah.
Sunfish.
Sunfish. Northern pike.
Bass.
Some bass. Got a couple different kinds of bass, right? Catfish. We got lots of catfish in the Red River. Yeah, they can. Walleye, for sure. okay. So we have all sorts of native species that live in our lakes and rivers. And especially recently, we've started to see some of these invasive species come into the Red River and some of the lakes that drain into the Red River, like in the Ottertail River, Ottertail Lake. There's a lot of lakes over in that area by Detroit Lakes, and Perham and Fergus Falls that have aquatic invasive species now. So we're gonna just talk about a few of those species here. Has anyone ever heard of any of these? We have the big head carp, the silver carp. You guys have maybe seen those? There are some types of invasive carp that, I think it's silver carp and Asian carp that jump into boats when people are driving down rivers.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen
There
that?
was one thing on YouTube where this one dude, he was out fishing and he did catch some fish. When he was going back to his dock, there was like 100 fish that just flew right in his boat.
Yeah. So that's, and here you can see the picture of the silver carp that are jumping. See that? So one of the main things that invasive species, one of the main characteristics that they have is that they're able to breed and reproduce very quickly. And they generally can survive on many different types of food. So they can kind of eat whatever. They're kind of like raccoons where they can come in and eat whatever. Yeah, they could, yeah. So one of the big ones that you guys may have heard of is this one.
You got to touch that in the last dinner, didn't you?
Did you?
Yeah.
So there's the zebra mussel. Can you guys see how they cling? Can you tell what that used to be? Still is, but it has lots of zebra mussels on it. So I remember hearing one time that female zebra mussels can produce 500,000 eggs, either in their lifetime or every year. I can't remember. They don't live that long individually, but they can really create a lot of baby zebra mussels very quickly. So when they come into a lake, they can really take it over. You'll find them on boats and on rocks and just all over the place. So I have a couple more examples that you guys want to take a look at. Them. Pass them out. Sure. So we've got curly leaf pondweed here and Eurasian water milfoil on those slides. So if you want to just pass them around, you can take a little look. So these are obviously plant species that we're looking at. So we don't just have fish, we don't just have mussels or clams that are invasive. We have plants as well. And with these types of plants, the Eurasian water milfoil and curly leaf pondweed, when let's say you're out on a boat and you get just a little bit of vegetation, like just a little piece of that plant caught on your propeller or in your boat, just that little bit of the plant, if you bring it to another lake, it can create a whole plant. It's kind of, if you've ever heard of propagation, you can cut like a leaf of a plant and grow the root system off of it. These plants are able to propagate and just take over a lake in a very short amount of time. So what they do is they grow in these thick mats, and then when you're out swimming, you might be swimming through this huge mat of seaweed. Like that's what it kind of feels like. So they have lots of effects on natural ecosystems. So we're going to look up here at this intricately hung up canvas thing that we have. So I just want to hear some observations from you all about the types of fish, what this lake ecosystem looks like. Does it look clean? Does it look healthy? Does it look like a good place to live? What do you guys think about this? It looks pretty crowded. Like there's a lot of fish, right? Is it just like one type of fish, or do we have a lot of different types of fish? A lot of different types. What about at the bottom? What do you guys see down at the bottom? There's some seaweed, some looks like nice green vegetation down there. What do we have down there? Some clams or mussel shells. How about over on the other side?
Maybe crocodile.
It kind of does look like a crocodile. I don't know if it's a mud puppy or like a newt or some kind of amphibian or something, or reptile. I'm not sure, but we also have some dragonflies. We have, what about up at the top right? Yeah, we got some frogs. So this is actually a picture, or kind of like an idealized natural ecosystem. So we have all these native species. There are lots of different types of them, kind of filling these different niches. There are large fish, there are small fish, there are the clams, the mussels. They're all kind of eating their own types of food. There are some that live up toward the top that eat different types of insects. There are some that feed more off of the bottom, and maybe you're looking at those clams and mussels down there. So what do you guys think is going to happen when we add an invasive species, or more specifically an aquatic invasive species, to this ecosystem? It might become more of an unhealthy environment. What do you think about the number of fewer fish overall? How about the number or the different types of fish? Do you think there will be more or fewer of those types of fish? Fewer? I think that's a good guess. Let's see what happens when Logan and I flip these over here. So also look at the color of the water, right? And look at the amount of vegetation up at the top. Let's see if we see any of these fish in this one. All right. So I think all the speculations we made, or the hypotheses that we formulated together, came true. So we have fewer fish overall. We have fewer types or fewer species of fish. What about at the bottom down there?
The clams are all covered up.
Yeah, they're all kind of covered up by either mud or. How about at the? Do you see some more stuff down there? Yeah, there's a fish skeleton, isn't there? So we kind of had this vegetation creep in from the side. We have some other insects. It doesn't look like the same dragonflies we had before up here. There's really just that one species mainly out there. Okay, so we kind of have to get moving on to our activity. We're going to leave our journals right here where they're at. And you can leave your pencils, leave those slides just on the ground. Yep, you can just set it on the ground. That's okay. So what I need you all to do is stand up, and we're gonna move on over to this sheet. You guys can go ahead and stand on it. Don't worry about getting it dirty. We may want to move some jackets and things to the side here. All right. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have you guys all. Feel free to step into the middle. Like we don't have to stand in a circle. So what's gonna happen is I'm gonna give you guys about 20 seconds to just kind of move around, just mill around, pretend like you're either a fish or you're a type of plant that's waving around, but maybe move around a little bit more than a plant would. So I'm gonna give you about 20 seconds, and then I'm gonna say stop. And based on where you stop, you're gonna have a different role in this game. All right? 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
You don't need to push this up, guys.
Alright, 3, 2, 1, stop. Breathe. Okay, so if anyone is not standing in a hula hoop, let's have you come out to the outside of the sheet.
Good. There's basically 3 people.
Alright, so what I'm going to have is the people who are kind of in the best habitat areas within the hula hoops. I'm going to have you go down on a knee. So I'm going to have you go down on a knee here. So I'll have you step out. I'll have you go down on a knee. Let's have Okay, let's have the other two step out right there. So what we have right now is we have a native species that has this very, they're very well adapted to this type of habitat within the hula hoop. So what we kind of had them do by going down on a knee is they're taking roots. So let's imagine that they are a native plant species, all right? So what we're gonna do in this game is we're gonna have some different people on the outsides who are gonna be called food movers. Basically, they're just gonna be putting food into the ecosystem, which is our bed sheet here. So I'm gonna have 3 people become food movers. Let's have you, and you. And everyone else kind of take a bigger step back. So the 3 that I pointed to, let's have you sit down on the outside of the sheet and then face away from the sheet. All right? And I'm gonna have Logan give you guys all some food, which we're gonna have represented by these blocks over here. Okay.
Sorry.
Next, I'm going to add 2 minnows. Who wants to be a minnow? Let's have the 2 of you. So you can stand out in the middle of the sheet. So what's going to happen is that our food movers will be, they're not going to be looking into the circle, but they're just going to kind of be tossing the food in. So the minnows are going to be able to move around a little bit. The plant species are not going to be able to move around. They're just going to be staying seated, and you can just catch whatever comes to you. The minnows can move around a little bit, but we're also going to be having some walleyes on the outside. And what do you know about walleyes? They do taste good, but what do they eat usually? They eat minnows. So let's have 2 walleyes right here. So what the 2 walleyes are going to be doing is walking around the circle, and if they can tag, they can't step on the sheet, but if they can tag one of the minnows have to come out. All right? So I'm also going to need, let's see, a scavenger. Who wants to be a scavenger? All right. So what a scavenger is going to do is when a piece of food falls down to the ground, and just so you guys know, the plants, unless it lands like inside the circle or you catch it, you can't pick it up outside of here. And the same with the minnows, you have to catch it. Our scavenger here is going to come through and grab the pieces of food on the floor and bring them back to the food movers, all right? Okay, so we're going to try this just once now in our native ecosystem. We're going to see how it goes. And then we're going to add some other species, the other students who don't have a role yet. So let's just give this about 20 seconds. 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
What do I do? Yep, just like that.
Food.
There you go.
I didn't catch one.
Did a minnow get out?
Yeah.
All right. Let's have you go back in. You're now a baby minnow again. All right, let's have everyone stop. So that was a good little demo.
I didn't get any.
So
I
basically
didn't catch any.
what we had some walleyes that caught a minnow. And then that minnow came back. There was kind of this natural replacement that happened. So how about the plants? Did you get some food? A little bit?
Was hungry.
Maybe you got a few. Wow, yeah. Some habitats are a little bit better than others, it looks like. So, okay, what we're going to have is we're going to add some invasive, aquatic invasive species. We're going to call them just some fish, an invasive fish, so maybe a carp. So, who didn't have a job in that last one? Let's have the 3 of you come on in by the minnows. It's going to get a little crowded in here. So, what we're going to have is we're going to do the same activity. The food movers on the outside, you're going to be tossing the food in. The walleyes will still, you can still only catch the minnows. So remember who the minnows are, because you don't want to eat a carp.
Do you have 5?
All right?
There's 5.
I have 4.
There's 5.
So the carp, you want to really catch food. You want to eat a lot of food, okay? So we're going to do this one more time, and then we'll take a seat over on the by our jackets there. All right, it's going to get a little crazy. And if I come and tell you you're out because you don't have any food, that you just have to stand up. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go ahead.
That's my food. It's mine. No. Food. No. Oh, that was a far one, Mary. I don't have any food. I need food. I need more food.
Did the minnows get eaten already?
Yeah. I need more food. I'm starving. No, you have it.
We gotta toss the food back out eventually.
All right, we'll give you 5 more seconds. 5,
I need
4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So let's come on down and sit over by our journals here. We're going to be rotating in just a few minutes, but we're going to wrap up and we'll try to write some stuff down in our journal. So what happened to our minnows in that last round? They both got tagged. So what did the walleyes eat? They didn't really have a food source after that. How about the plants? Was it easier to get food the first round or easier the second round?
Easier the second round.
Was it? Okay. So maybe because of the minnows and the walleyes having limited resources, it kind of actually helped those plants. How about the carp? Were you able to get food in that second round? Yeah, it seemed like the carp were edging some people out. So they were kind of some new neighbors that weren't appreciated by the minnows maybe, and the walleyes in turn didn't like that. So if you guys want, you can go ahead and we'll give you a few minutes to journal. So two of the new words hopefully that you guys can take away: aquatic and